Welcome to Chinatown, everyone. It has been a very, very challenging 2 years. We have missed our incredible parade. We've had to distance ourselves and celebrate virtually. So the fact that we are here today to start the new year, to kick off Lunar New Year in San Francisco is extraordinary.
Well, good afternoon. We are now experiencing a massive surge on the national, state, and regional level. And let me be clear, San Francisco is in the midst of a major surge of COVID-19 cases.
I've been a resident of Chinatown for the past 10 years, and prior to that, my mom's family grew up just up there and lived there for almost 40 years. When the pandemic first started, I noticed that tourism was down a ton. Chinatown didn't have the usual energy that it typically has. There wasn't the hustle and bustle on Stockton Street. It was tough seeing how slow the restaurants were doing and how much business was down. So in an effort to try and create business for them, I started to ask my friends, can I order food for you? And then I would drop it off to them. Over time, I had tons of family, friends, and even coworkers volunteer and say, how can we help? So it went from 10 to 15 orders a day to 60, and the final week we did almost 500 orders. It was really cool to see family and friends who maybe didn't have a connection to Chinatown want to help in any way they could. Then in 2021, we're hoping that the parade was going to happen. You know, this is usually a time when businesses get a big portion of their annual revenue. I think there was a lot of excitement around Chinatown as things were starting to get better, but the vaccine wasn't here yet. It was just a couple months away, so we didn't feel that rush of energy that we typically feel around Chinese New Year.
Last year's cancellation of the parade and festival was somewhat of a easy, hard decision. We knew that there was a lot of uncertainty. What did our staff, what did our volunteers feel about exposing themselves in a time where we really didn't know what COVID was? We were still learning about it, the world was still learning about it.
For last year, we are aware that the situation is there, but we also keep a very close tab of all the health experts. Of course, the main one is the San Francisco Health Department, because that's the one impacted the most. I will even make a button to reflect our difficult decision. That's me screaming. Oh, anxiety, uncertainty, because you just don't know what the outcome's gonna be. So instead, for the safety and health of everybody, we decided to replace the live in-person parade with a virtual broadcast.
And welcome the Year of the Ox.
We decided to do a retrospective parade broadcast. We had old performances, new performances submitted, and we did digital floats. We also did a public art project called Ox on Parade. They're life-size ox statues designed by local artists.
The pandemic has been devastating for the creative communities. Our life is basically about bringing people together to experience things. So in a time when we can't bring people together, it's been incredibly difficult, not just for us in the parade world, but every artist that I know has struggled in some way. I've been really grateful to the Chinese New Year Parade Committee who had these imaginative ways. I thought that was so important, just to give artists work and to give viewers an opportunity to come and share an experience, even if it had to be done socially distant.
We're here today to talk about and announce that here in the City and County of San Francisco, under the University of California, San Francisco, and our partnership with the Department of Public Health, we have discovered our first case, not only here in San Francisco, but the entire country.
The Chinese New Year parade this year has been very challenging to plan, but then there is this aching desire from the community to really want to come out and celebrate, almost like we celebrated many years before.
The organization started back in the 1800s. We're coming to America hoping for a better life. We all hear about the Gamsan, the Golden Mountain, and that's where there's an influx of Chinese immigrants into the United States. At that time, the Chinese Americans want to showcase our culture with parade. And where else can a Westerner witness lion dance, steel walkers, weapon dancers, zhong jumping, thousands and thousands of firecrackers being lit, and of course, the 288-foot-long dragon.
In the late 1950s, when the Chinese Chamber of Commerce took over to start planning the parade, it was really just a small community parade that came down Grant Avenue. But as the celebrations kind of grew and evolved, they wanted to really expand it to include as many people across San Francisco as possible. So they added a lot of events that really hits all different age groups and interests.
It's always about 2 weeks long. So we like to add events to be more inclusive, from the young to the elderly to the young at heart.
Chinatown has a great story to tell. 2 years ago, when the pandemic started, public health officials were petrified that in these very, very densest conditions, the second densest part of urban America in the United States, that the pandemic and COVID would rage through these buildings. The opposite happened. This was the community that first started wearing masks. This is the community that was first to line up for tests. This is the community that was first to line up for vaccines. And as a result, San Francisco's Chinatown, the densest part of San Francisco, has actually had the lowest transmission rates and the lowest hospitalization rates and the lowest death rates. And that story is important to tell, not only because we're so proud, but also because we want to tell the region and the country and international travelers, this is the safest place in the safest city to be.
So the fact that we are here today to kick off Lunar New Year in San Francisco is extraordinary. It's extraordinary because we will appreciate it now more than ever. Not only is the flower mart that you are experiencing today back in person, the parade on February 19th will be back in San Francisco!
There's no San Francisco without Chinatown. It represents the diversity and cultural freedom we have here that make the country work. So it's really important to me. Being from here, it's really important to me as a historical part of my community.
I'm excited. To see everyone back together to do the parade. It's cool to see a bunch of different people from different communities, different ethnicities, different nationalities all join together to celebrate.
So this is definitely the strangest year ever so far in 13 years of float building. Prior to COVID, our float teams were usually somewhere between 20 and 30 people for the season. And this year we're working at about 6 to 10 people per day and 10 max. And we've just had to come up with some creative solutions and work within parameters to make sure that we can still do our job and do it safely.
The theme this year is like roaring back. We are ready to roar back to a slice of normalcy. It's really about the resilience of our community and the strength that the Tiger will bring for 2022.
Happy Lunar New Year!
It's great to see people from all over come together to help Chinatown thrive. It's during struggles like this when we can all step up for each other's communities. It's been really awesome to see all of the energy in Chinatown. I have friends calling me, asking me where they should watch the parade from. You know, you see the streets hustling and bustling, and it's energy that I haven't seen for 2+ years. The younger generation seeing the parade for the first time would be really cool.
This is the year of the Tiger!
This family, ladies and gentlemen, here for the 2022 parade is here from Mexico City.